When my wife said it, she smiled. Not angry. Not emotional. Just confident. I'm going back to my ex, she said, folding her arms like the discussion was already finished. And I'm taking half of everything. 15 years of marriage reduced to a sentence she'd clearly practiced. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I simply nodded, which confused her more than shouting ever could. She mistook my silence for shock, maybe weakness. That night, she slept peacefully beside me, already living her next life in her head. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to her steady breathing, thinking about how easily people reveal themselves when they believe they've already won. My name is Thomas Reed. I run a small but profitable equipment leasing company in Northern California. I've always believed preparation beats reaction. And while my wife dreamed of walking away richer, she never once asked how the money actually moved, where it rested, or who controlled the flow. That assumption would cost her everything by morning. Her name is Lillian. Ambitious. Charming. Strategic in the way people are when they believe the rules only apply to others. She'd reconnected with her ex months earlier, framing it as closure, then honesty, then inevitability. I watched the shift quietly. Late dinners. New confidence. Subtle contempt. When she told me she wanted out, she assumed divorce meant automatic victory. Split everything. Cash out. Start over clean. What she didn't understand was that my business didn't run on shared convenience. Years earlier, after a failed partnership nearly ruined me, I'd restructured everything legally. Separate operating accounts. Emergency reserves. Layered holdings. Not hidden. Not illegal. Just protected. Lillian never cared about details. She cared about outcomes. That night, she packed a bag for the weekend, humming softly, texting her ex, "I'll call my lawyer Monday," she said casually. I nodded again. She kissed my cheek like she was being generous. The bedroom light clicked off, and within minutes she was asleep, confident tomorrow would belong to her. I stayed awake and finalized something she never saw coming. At 4:12 a.m., I moved quietly through the house, not out of secrecy, but habit. Years of early mornings trained me well. I opened my laptop and logged into systems Lillian never bothered to learn. Accounts she assumed were shared simply because we were married. Funds she believed were waiting to be divided. One by one, I executed transfers I'd prepared long before this conversation ever happened. Not emptied. Repositioned. Legally. Methodically. Everything moved into protected business reserves and trust accounts already documented and compliant. By sunrise, nothing was gone. It just wasn't where she expected it to be. I shut the laptop and made coffee like it was any other morning. Lillian woke up cheerful, stretched, checked her phone. She didn't notice anything was wrong yet. "I'll be at my sister's today," she said. "Don't do anything stupid." I smiled politely. "Drive safe." She left convinced I was still processing loss. She didn't realize she'd just walked away from leverage. Power doesn't disappear loudly. It shifts quietly to the person who planned ahead. I spent the morning at work, signing routine documents, answering calls, maintaining normalcy. Around 9:30 a.m., my phone rang. Lillian's sister, Karen. She didn't greet me. She screamed, "The accounts are empty. What did you do?" I held the phone away from my ear until the panic settled into words. Apparently, Lillian had gone straight to the bank, ready to withdraw what she considered her half. She'd been told there was nothing accessible. No joint savings. No liquid balances. Karen accused me of theft, fraud, abuse. I let her finish. Then I said calmly, "Nothing is missing. It's just not joint anymore." Silence followed. Then rage. I explained slowly. The accounts had always been structured through my business. Lillian had signing privileges, not ownership. The money existed. It simply wasn't divisible the way she imagined. Karen hung up mid-sentence. Minutes later, Lillian called. This time, she wasn't smirking. She was shaking. "You blindsided me," she said. "No," I replied. "You underestimated me." She came home that afternoon furious, demanding explanations, threatening lawyers, shouting words she thought still had power. I listened until she ran out of breath. Then I handed her a folder. Documentation. Agreements. Years of filing she'd never read because she trusted assumptions more than facts. Her hands trembled as she flipped pages. "This isn't fair," she said weakly. "Fair isn't relevant," I replied. "Legal is." She accused me of planning this, of setting traps. I didn't deny it. "I planned for failure," I said. "You just decided to be it." That broke something in her. She cried, not from heartbreak, but from loss of control. Her ex stopped answering her messages that night. Turns out confidence is attractive, but complications are not. She slept on the couch. I slept peacefully for the first time in months. Divorce papers arrived later that week. Negotiations were short. She kept her car, her clothes, and her pride, damaged but intact. She didn't get half. She got what was actually hers. There's a difference. The town filled in the gaps quickly. People always do. Lillian tried telling her version, but numbers don't lie, and neither do public records. Her sister stopped calling. Her lawyer stopped posturing. Reality has a way of humbling even the loudest threats. I didn't celebrate. I focused on routine. Work. Sleep. Stability. Lillian moved out within a month, bitterness replacing confidence. She told a mutual friend she never imagined I'd fight back. That wasn't it. I didn't fight. I prepared. There's a difference people only learn after it's too late. One evening, she asked if we could talk like adults. I agreed. She apologized, not for betrayal, but for miscalculation. I accepted nothing. "You weren't wrong to leave," I said. "You were wrong to think marriage entitled you to assets you never protected." She stared at me like she was finally seeing a stranger. Maybe she was. People change when they stop subsidizing someone else's ambitions. That conversation was our real ending. Quiet. Undramatic. Final. Life simplified after that. Fewer conversations. Fewer assumptions. More clarity. I downsized the house, kept the business steady, rebuilt a life without explaining myself to someone who never asked how things worked. Occasionally, I heard about Lillian through others. New jobs. New relationships. Same complaints. She blamed me for everything that followed. I let her. Blame is easier than accountability. I learned something important through all of it. Threats only work when the other person is unprepared. Confidence collapses when it isn't backed by understanding. And love, once replaced by entitlement, stops being love at all. People assume the calm one is losing. They mistake silence for surrender. In reality, silence is often calculation. I never raised my voice. I never slammed a door. I just made sure I couldn't be destroyed by someone who thought they already owned the ending. Walking away wasn't dramatic. It was controlled. And control, when exercised ethically, is the strongest response there is. When I look back on that night, I don't remember anger. I remember clarity. The moment she smiled and claimed half of everything, she revealed how little she understood about partnership. Marriage isn't a jackpot. It's shared responsibility, shared risk, shared respect. The money didn't disappear. The illusion did. She slept peacefully because she thought the future was secured. I slept peacefully later because I knew it was. Preparation isn't revenge. It's survival. I didn't ruin her life. I simply refused to fund a fantasy where loyalty was optional and consequences were negotiable. Some endings arrive with screaming phone calls and accusations. Others arrive with quiet spreadsheets and unanswered threats. I chose the second. And when her sister called screaming that morning, it wasn't panic I felt. It was confirmation. Confirmation that staying calm had been the right decision. The strongest moves are rarely emotional. They're patient, legal, and irreversible. That's how my marriage ended, not with betrayal, but with a lesson she never expected to learn.